Really good job, Huffington Post.
You gotta be so good that they can't ignore you, especially the ones that ain't done shit for you. Yeah, you know exactly what I mean. They stab you in the back and then they ask why you're bleeding.
I'm Alan Roberts. This is Every Damn Day Fitness. Like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. Share my videos. Thank you very much. I want to keep the swearing down or eliminated. Hopefully eliminated. We'll see what I can do in this video, because I want as many people to view this as possible, and I want this video to stay up, frankly. Huffington Post recently published an article written by some idiot, in my opinion, of course, stating that everything we knew about obesity was wrong. This non-medical professional decided to say that everything we knew about obesity is wrong up until this point, because people cried during interviewing them. When he interviewed people for this, he said he's never had so many people cry. That's because they made themselves unhealthy. But anyway, that's just my opinion, of course. He did say, and I quote, "Yes, nearly every population-level study finds that fat people have worse cardiovascular health than thin people, but individuals are not averages. Studies have found that anywhere from 1/3 to 3/4 of people classified as obese are metabolically healthy." So I find it amazing that in 2 sentences back-to-back, he dismisses nearly every population-level study as being just averages. It's no big deal. And this also non-scientist then goes on to cherry-pick a few studies to say that 1/3 to 3/4 of people that are obese are metabolically healthy. And by that, he means the medical term metabolically healthy obese people, and that means they don't have diabetes or hypertension or anything like that. I find it hilarious that he says studies don't matter in one sentence. Nearly every population level study don't matter, but these cherry pick studies, these are what I wanted to show you, because, people can be healthy while obese. If you would have spent just 1 minute maybe looking for things that don't actually just agree with him, if you would actually approach this in a non-biased way, a non-pandering way, to not pander to the 100 million obese people in America and the fat acceptance movement and everybody like that, he could have found this study, or this analysis of studies done on the Nurses' Health Study on more than 90,000 women followed for 3 decades, found that metabolically healthy obese women, that is, those without diabetes, hypertension, or high cholesterol, had a nearly 40% increase in risk of cardiovascular disease compared with metabolically healthy women of a normal weight. So his dismissal of, once again, nearly every population-level study showing that obese people have worse indicators for cardiovascular disease, developing cardiovascular disease, up to 40%, as shown by the Nurses study. 40% more likely to develop cardiovascular disease is a huge number. It is a huge number that he just dismisses as, it's averages. But then goes on to say that you can be metabolically healthy. If you also take a look at the Nurses study, he also decided to leave out that, in addition, a substantial majority of metabolically healthy obese women, 84%, became metabolically unhealthy during the course of the study. So in other words, if this journalist, and I do use air quotes when I say journalist, because in my opinion, of course, you can't consider yourself a journalist if you only look for the information that proves your point. If you only write biased articles using information that prove your point, you can be a writer, but you cannot be a journalist. Anyway, if this writer would have looked for just 2 minutes, he would have found that 84% of the 1/3 to 3/4 of obese people that are deemed metabolically healthy will eventually become metabolically unhealthy. He would have realized that the term is only a moment in time. Just because a person can be deemed metabolically healthy, obese, 84% of the time they are going to become metabolically unhealthy. You know why? You don't see old obese people, because they die. Because they either develop cardiovascular disease and die from that, they develop diabetes or some sort of other metabolic disorder, or a multitude of other things, and they die unless they lose the weight. That is just the truth. They do not stay metabolically healthy. He later goes on to talk about how, there's the unhealthy fit people, and 1/4 of thin people are also considered unfit. It's basically the changing of an argument away from the fact that being obese is bad for your health. It is a pandering on a level that I find irresponsible of a large quote-unquote news publication. And this is not political, mind you. I don't think that just because they're deemed as a Democrat or as a progressive news periodical or a conservative one, I don't care, because I see both sides of the aisles not doing a damn thing about the obesity epidemic that is about to crush our economy and our civilization, basically. If we keep going, there's going to be $1 trillion spent on diabetes in America. $1 trillion in 4 or 5 years from now. That number will keep rising from the $340 billion we have now to close to $1 trillion that our healthcare system simply cannot sustain. And articles like this that allow people to think, well, I could be metabolically healthy obese, is ridiculous to our society. It is pandering to sell a periodical by making people feel good about themselves. Now, I know that people consider me harsh, but guess what? At least I tell them the truth, which this article, in my opinion, of course, is not. It is a misleading article to make people think that they're okay when they absolutely are not, because being obese is a death sentence that people are giving themselves. It is suicide via food, period. I understand that people want to feel good about themselves, and they want to read articles that make them feel good about themselves, and they want to look at people and say, well, you know, that person's obese too, and they're happy. They're not. They're not. We're not even talking about metabolically healthy obese does not even talk about the joint issues that people develop, the incredible stress that their knees, their back, everything like that is put on. There is a reason why 90% of the people you see riding around in scooters, you know, in the grocery store or anywhere are obese. There is a reason for that, people. And the reason is it is not healthy for you, no matter what this idiot that parades himself as a journalist says. And that's just my 2 cents on the matter. My name's Alan Roberts. This is Everydamn Day Fitness. Hit me up on Instagram at Everydamn Day Fitness. Hit me up on Twitter at Everydamn Fit. I'm also on Facebook at Everydamn Day Fitness. And I'm on the internet at everydamndayfitness.net. Just because it's printed doesn't mean it's true. God damn.